Well, hello there, everybody. We are live. How's everybody doing? I am doing good, in case you're asking. Obviously, I can't hear you. Now, this is the first time I'm doing this, so please pardon if there are going to be any mistakes happening. Can you guys hear me all right? Please type in the chat if you guys can hear me all right. Hey, Chris, how are you doing? Hey, Catalin. Hey, Afon. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Thank you for the confirmation. Now I'm going to play a bit of the guitar. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me as well? Is the guitar audible to you guys? I'm assuming it is. Type in yes. Great. So it's sounding good. I'm doing good, Chris. Thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate the support. Anyway, so let's give it a couple of minutes for everybody else to join in. Is the video all right? Please pardon any quirks in quality. I am streaming from my mobile phone, as you can imagine, and I am just going to shift in focus a couple of times when you see my hand moving here and there. That's awesome. It sounds great. So I wanted to live stream, and recently, a few days back, I had put in a video. I did dial in a quick tone for the preset that I used for Lifting Shadows of a Dream. It's one of my favorite tracks from Dream Theater. And I spent literally 10-15 minutes, kind of dialing that tone in. Hello, Perry. How are you? Thank you for joining in from Montreal all the way. Thank you so much. So I spent a few minutes dialing in that tone. The main aspect of that tone was really the delay. So the delay is so good in that clean tone in the track that it's obviously it's been a dream track for me to dial in from a very long time. And up until recently, when I started listening to more of it again and again, and I've been trying to dial in some of Dream Theater tones, I kind of gave it a shot, and I think I got somewhere close. And I think all of your comments kind of mentioned that it sounded really good. So this is how the tone is sounding at the moment. Now I am playing on my JP15. This has an inbuilt piezo system in there, and I am playing on the middle position on the pickups, which is basically kind of a split position between these two humbuckers. I'll point it toward you guys, and I've also got the push-pull pot here, which kind of, when pulled out, it is at the put out position at the moment. So what it does is kind of split coils these two humbuckers. And I'm also going to mix in some piezo in. Well, right now the piezo, it's absolutely zero. So this is how the tone is actually sounding. So the intro of that track. Hello, George. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right there. Good. It's actually night here, but good morning to you from Belgium all the way. Thank you so much. So good to see you guys in the chat. It's really awesome. I was quite nervous that how many folks are going to join in, but this is awesome. Thank you so much. It really motivates me a lot. So that was the tone without the piezo in there. You might be hearing some of the guitar coming through the mic itself as well. Now I can try and switch off the mic for a second and then give you another demo of how it's sounding. So let me know in the chat if it's sounding all right. I'm going to go on mute now for a second. By the way, I'm going to mix in some piezo around 10 to 20%, maybe not more. That's how it is sounding. Did you guys hear that all right? Let me know in the chat. And now I'm gonna switch over to the view where we can see the axe edit, and we're gonna dial into it together. So before that, just give me a quick second. Now, when you actually go into the preset, keep in mind that I used a very quick attempt to dial this in. And hello Ruby, how are you? So good to see you in the chat. That's my wife, by the way. Thank you for joining in. It really means a lot. Now, when you look at this preset, we're gonna do this two ways, right? So as I said, I did this really, really quick and I didn't spend too much time on it. So basically, when you see the preset, you might be a little taken aback that, hey, it's not really the contemporary, Mesa Boogie style of preset. But I want to call out that this preset was more about the delay. And if you have a really good clean tone, then the delay does the maximum number of tricks for you. Now, I'm pretty confident that Petrucci didn't play this, guitar when he was doing the Awake recordings. So yeah, I'm going to jump to the preset quickly right now. Perry, this is a preset that I wanted to showcase in this tone. We're going to do this two ways, as I said. So first, I'll show you what I used, and then we'll go ahead and dial it the actual way with using a Mesa Boogie amp. But for now, this is the preset. So switching over the view to the axe edit. Can you guys see it now? Let me know quickly in the chat. I hope you guys can see that. So anyways, so basically it's not really a Mesa Boogie preset, to be honest. And hold on before you guys, really type in there that, oh my God, this is not a Mesa Boogie. This is not an amp that, Petrucci uses. But the main important thing to know here is the delay, which I'll come to in a second. The amp that I used, it's actually a stock preset and one of my favorites, which is the EJ Clean. This is a preset, I think, for Eric Johnson's clean tone. It's using a Fender amp. It's using, some specific cabs, which are stock cabs, but that's not really important. The important part is the delay. I did modify the preset a bit. It's one of my favorite presets. It's got that slight bit of acoustic touch in there, and to be honest, when you hear the track, you can hear the guitar part is really thin and it's not very, very fat. So that's why when you play over the split coil position, it gives you that kind of single coil tone. And I don't think I modified too much here. All I did was I pulled out some bass and pulled out some mids, like you would typically do with a Petrucci clean tone. I kind of pulled out some of the treble as well, otherwise it gets too sharp. And I pulled out the presence as well a little bit. I think when you have the stock preset, everything is at 5, but I pulled it down a little bit as well. Stock cabs, I did not touch this at all. I kept it as it is where it was. The preset is there on Axe FX2. It's a stock preset. I think it's preset number 97 or something like that. Maybe just check it out later when you get time. The low cut and high cut also I did not touch. And when it comes to the chorus, I added a bit of chorus, which is the Dimension 1, which is again Petrucci style chorus, which was added to the XFX2. I covered this in another video earlier. I brought the rate down a little bit, brought the depth down a little bit, and mixes around 15%, not too specific, too much of chorus. But without everything, without the delay, this is how the actual preset sounds. It's pretty much, a simple clean tone. It's got nothing magical in there. And I'm playing on the split coil position on the bridge pickup, on the neck pickup, sorry. This is how it sounds. Beautiful sounding clean tone, but let's go over to the delay. Let me just quickly hop over to the chat and see if there's any questions anybody has. Cool. So far, so good. So when it comes to the delay is the tricky part here. That's defining the tone, right? So what I used, and I will go over and cover what was actually used in the actual track as well. I found some sheet music record on the internet, and I also had one gentleman comment in the comment section for that video when I put that out, mentioning what delay type was used. But for me, I used a dotted eighth. I chose a digital mono, but I did change it to ping pong in the config because that's something that Petrucci really likes. The trick here is to get the first repeat note of your delay to be almost as loud as your actual playing note. What that will do is basically kind of create that depth of multiple guitars playing. So when you turn on the delay, and you can imagine that I've got it set to a dotted eighth, which is coming to around 417 milliseconds. Tempo is around 108 BPM, so that's what it comes out to. I checked the sheet music; it was around 416 milliseconds, so that's pretty much close. Feedback's quite high because, as I said, we want the first note to sound really loud. All right, all good. So I thought I had the mic on mute, which I don't, which is very good, which could have been quite awful to be honest. Anyway, so feedback's quite high because we want, and the mix is also quite high because we want that first note to be quite loud. The spread is around 55% because I don't want it to spread too much widely in the stereo. And usually when I dial in delay with such a high mix, I usually go into the EQ and scoop out some of the high cut. But in this case, I kept it all the way up because we want that. We don't want to lose any tone in that repeat that's coming through. So with that done, the delay is on now. Now I'm just gonna play a note, and guys can hear actually how the delay is set up. So see, focus on the first note of the delay. It's almost as loud as the originally played note, and that's the stuff you want to go for. So when you're playing this part over here, don't pardon the tempo there because you have to really play this to a click to get it right. You want to mute your guitar strings with your palm and then basically play that part. So that what that does is basically gives you that illusion of multiple notes playing in the background. That sounds really, really good. Let's see in the chat what's going on. All right, nothing much so far. Anyway, so are you guys able to hear that clearly? Are you guys able to kind of understand this nice and well? Any questions anybody has so far? I'll just pause for a second here. Sounds good. Thank you so much for joining in. That's great. So as I said, don't go too much on what amp is used because I did not do too much research on dialing this in. But now what we can do is, now that you guys have seen it, I can probably pull up the sheet music and show you as to what sort of delay configuration was given when they released the actual sheet music for this guy, and then we're gonna use actually a Mesa Boogie amp and try and dial in something similar. Does that sound good to everybody? I'm gonna assume yes. Everybody wants to see that. So when it comes to the sheet music, I'm gonna quickly pull that up. So this is the sheet music example that you can find online. I want you to focus on this part. Can everybody see the sheet music up there? I'm guessing yes. So it says with digital delay set on a single repeat of 416 milliseconds, echoed notes are in parentheses and occur 3/16 notes after primary attack. Now delay volume is slightly higher than the guitar volume. This kind of confused me quite a lot. So as I said, one dotted eighth came out to be 417 milliseconds in my case, and the sheet music shows 416 milliseconds. So that part we got right. But after that, it says echoed notes occur 3/16 notes after primary attack. Now that got me confusing because when I tried to understand this, what it really meant was that we need another delay after the 416 millisecond first note, and we want that delay to happen after 3 times a 16th note, which actually comes down to a dotted note again. So pretty much I got confused reading this, but then I understood that it's basically a dotted eighth note. And thank you so much, Leon. I checked with him quickly because when I found this, I was like, whoa, this sounds really different from what I've dialed in. I was happy to see the 460 millisecond kind of come in there because that's what I used. But then when I saw the other part, I got really confused. So let's try and do this, right? Let's try and dial this in using a Mesa cab and a Mesa amp, not a Mesa cab, sorry, but a rectifier cab and a Mesa Boogie amp. So I'm going to switch off the sheet music, bring up the Axe-Fx again, and then we're going to jump over to a blank preset. Let's do that. All right, so everything's blank in here. This is how the guitar sounds. There's nothing in there. That's just a DI signal of the guitar. So first things first, let's go ahead and add the amp in there. So amp, as I said, is going to be a Mesa Boogie one, which we want to use is a USA clean. I think this is the Mark IV clean. I don't know what amp Petrucci really used on this, to be honest. I just chose the first USA clean amp, which is Mesa Boogie clean, to be honest. And I brought down the input drive to around 4. Bass I also pulled down, and these are some things that you will typically find Petrucci using quite a lot when he's dialing in his clean tones. There is a video on YouTube where he does this on a Mark V, where he shows how he dials in his tones, and it's an incredible video to watch. I would strongly recommend you go ahead and watch it. Mids also I'm going to scoop out quite a lot because that's the kind of tone he really likes. Treble boost up a little bit to 6. Presence I'm gonna boost up a little bit as well to get some of that top end there. Master volume I'm gonna push it all the way up, and then basically what I did, I think I turned on the bright switch as well. Next, let's add the cabs. Now when it comes to cabs, I always prefer trying stock cabs first. So what I found is that the cabs that really work well with Mesa Boogie amps is the traditional 4x12 rectifier with Celestion V30 speakers. We've got a Petrucci cab in there in the stock cabs, but I did not use that. I always like these two cabs over here, so I'm going to change it to stereo ultra res, and I'm going to use this cab and turn off link. I don't want the same cab there again and again. So these two cabs are pre-mic'd, and these are the mic ranges that have been used, so nothing else matters. I don't need to mic anything over here. And I also went and pushed up the high cut all the way because I don't want to lose any tone for the clean tone especially. So with that done, I think I pushed up the master volume quite a lot as well, because I'm playing on the split coil on my guitar, and that's the reason kind of the volume slightly drops down. So I think I pushed it to -4 or -4.8. That should be fine. So with that done, I think this is how it sounds. It's a pretty good clean tone, to be honest. So if you play on the neck pickup and you play stuff like, so you get the idea, right? So I'm going to switch back to the probably needs a little more tweaking on the neck pickup when you play it that way. But yeah, I primarily dialed in this one for the coil tap position. Next up, I added some chorus. Again, as usual, the Dimension 1, which is chorus of Petrucci's choice. I brought the rate down, I think a little bit. Mix also, depth also, I brought it down to around 42%. That should be fine. And I think mix, I kept it slightly higher this time, around 35%. And also in the tone, high cut all the way, dimension mode, definitely to high. So let me quickly hop over to the chat and see how everybody's doing. Hey Mark, how are you doing? Good to see you here. Thank you so much for joining in. With the chorus dialed in, this is how you're doing. Gotta turn on the volume. I'm gonna mute the mic for a second so that you guys can hear how it's actually sounding, because you're probably getting the acoustic sound of the strings as well. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, Hopefully that's sounding great for you guys. So I mixed in some piezo in there as well. Now let's do the delay. This is the part where it gets really interesting. So now when we want a specific repeat number of repeats for a delay, I always recommend that you guys use the multi delay. It's got a 10 tap delay option, which is an incredible delay tool that I use quite a lot. So I've used this on a Pliny preset as well, which was done, I think, this year itself. So we're going to use a multi-delay. And now we're doing the first part of that sheet that I just showed. I'll show it again for everybody who's joining later. So we're doing the first part of this digital delay set on single repeat at 416 milliseconds. So I'm going to do that. Hey there, it's Toby's. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Welcome. I'm going to switch this off and get back to the axe edit. So we're doing the first repeat note. We want this louder slightly than the guitar. And I'm using a 10 tap delay here, not the quad tap. Let's jump into this. Now this interface is quite interesting. You have two tabs here. For somebody who's not seen this, this is quite an interesting delay type to use. You've got the first screen over here, which I'll talk in a second, but the second screen is where it gets really interesting. You can dial up to 10 delays and you can actually control the levels of each one of them as well. It's absolutely incredible and it's quite helpful when you want to do a specific number of repeats. So as I said, we're going to use dotted eighth note, which is coming to, tempo is not right. We set that to 108. So going on? I think the preset needs to be saved. Yeah, there we go. Some bug there. Anyways, so that's come down to 417 milliseconds, which is exactly what we want. It's a 1 millisecond off, but I think we can let go of that much. And number of taps defines how many repeats you want. So it's currently at 6. So with that, this is how it sounds. So you can hear that after 6 exact repeats, it kind of stops down. I'm going to bring it down to 1 because we just want 1 repeat. And the decays, you heard that the levels were slightly going down, right, as the repeat was happening. The decay controls as to how your kind of the volume of the delay kind of repeats kind of decays down. So as we don't want any decay, we want it at 0%. We don't want any decay whatsoever. And I think what I did was, in this case, I pushed the mix up a little bit to 30%. And this is where you can set the level of your repeat. Now, if I play this now, so you got 1 repeat happening only, which is exactly what we want, but the level slightly lower. So you can push it up here over here so that it sounds a little more than the actual played note. So hopefully that's sounding right to everybody. So that controls the level of the repeat note, and that's a really helpful tool that I've used. I did not touch most of these guys, but you can change it to stereo. I'm using stereo. I did kind of leave it at mono when I was trying to dial in this in. So that takes care of the first part of the repeat, which was the dotted eighth note. Now, after that, it said that the rest of the repeats kind of happen 3 times after a dotted 16th note. So that's not dotted such 16, sorry, a 16th note. It's kind of hard to remember what it says over there. Let's bring it up for a second again. So echoed notes are in parentheses, which is these notes over here, and occur 316 notes after primary attack. Okay, which again boils down to dotted 8 notes again. So I'm going to do that just over here. What we're going to do is, in the AXFX2, you can actually use 2 delay blocks, multi-delay blocks. AX8 users, you might not be able to do two multi-delay blocks, but don't worry, you can actually use a normal delay and do this as well. I'm going to use another multi-delay block here, and I'm going to set this to 10 tap delay again. Delay tempo, as I said, I'm going to keep it again to a dotted 8 note. So, and the repeats, I'm going to bring it down to 3. I don't want too many repeats in this one. And decay again goes down to 0%. And the mix, I think I kept it around 25 or 27%. The rest of the stuff I did not even touch. For these, the levels I did not touch at all. I want them to be at the same position as the default. So with that done, this is how it sounds. Sounds quite confusing, but you play the actual part. Maybe the level of that first delay is quite high. This happens sometimes. I don't know why it does that. Let's bring down the level a little bit. Man, it's hard to keep up with that delay, isn't it? So let's try another part. As you can see, that the number of feedbacks and the number of repeats that I'm getting on this setting is quite less, and it's set to a fixed number of repeats, which is what I like a lot about the multi-delay. It doesn't, get too much in your way when you want to play it, on a specific number of repeats. But I think I like the other option, to be honest, much more. What do you guys think? Which option was better sounding to you guys? You can put that in the chat. So my question was, which one did sound better? The first option where we had the, the normal delay with a digital delay set to ping pong, and we had a high number of high feedback and a high mix? Or do you think this one kind of, which is more accurate to what is used in the actual track, sounds better? I kind of like the other one, to be honest. What do you guys think? I'll let you guys type in the chat. I'm going to switch back to the other preset. I think I like this one more, to be honest. Hey Zoltan, I hope I got that right, pronounced that right. I think I agree with you. I think the first one sounds much better to me, the one I'm using right now. But I think to be, era and gear accurate, I think the Mesa one is probably more accurate, to be honest. But yeah, I like the sound of this one, to be honest. What's going on in the chat? I made my own lifting shadows preset a long time ago and took the multi-delay, like you did, with only a second delay at 50%. Too many repeats are not so good in the mix of the song. I kind of agree with you. I think this one has a lot of repeats in there. Maybe we can try to, bring down the repeats a bit. Let's see what that happens. So if I bring down the mix feedback quite a lot, now that definitely reduces the number of repeats we are having. So how does that sound? That sounds kind of good, but I think as standalone it kind of sounds empty. But I kind of agree with you. I think having too many repeats will definitely not sit well in the mix. And that's the reason probably, most people, when I hear them, I think when I Google this tone, to be honest, which I always do, I have found that most people hinted towards using a single note delay only and not having too many repeats in there. I think somebody had a question earlier about using scenes in the presets that I kind of have. Let me just quickly jump to that one. So that was from Catalin, I guess. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right again. Can you explain how to create scenes from your presets? All right. That's pretty simple. So let's quickly jump in and do that. So let's say this one pretty much will have scenes anyways. So let me go to a blank preset, or maybe let's just remove everything here. Shunt this guy. Obviously don't want wah with a clean tone. And let's just keep reverb here. So the way you do scenes is basically when you have a foot control. I don't have one, but the beauty of scenes is that you can switch between two scenes and have some effects switched on and switched off, or you could have different configurations for a single block and have different settings for them. So I'll show you a couple of ways to do probably both of them. So when you go to scene 2 here, I think by default the reverb kind of turns on. The way to do that is basically you go into scene 1. If you don't want reverb, you can, let's say I had reverb on here, for example, right? And let's just save this preset for a second. Now, this one has reverb on in both the scenes now. What if I did not want reverb in the first scene? What you can just do is go ahead and switch that off and save the preset. That way what will happen is that the reverb will obviously be present in your second second scene, to be honest. And that's pretty simple. I mean, I don't think there's too much complication there. Does that answer your question, or did you mean something else? If you have a specific question around a preset, we can try and load that up and we can go through it. Perry says, I built an XY setup with ping pong and Y with 10 tap. Yeah, that sounds good as well. I prefer the ping pong delay. Absolutely, I prefer the ping pong too. That's something that is kind of a signature Petrucci style. Dotted eighth, ping pong, you're set. I use that a lot in pretty much all of my Petrucci presets moving forward, because I know that he is a huge fan of the dotted eighth note. And I read somewhere, I think I heard him talking somewhere that, he's not much of a reverb person, to be honest. He doesn't like reverb too much, but sometimes when you hear the mix of the songs, you do feel like there's definitely reverb in there. Maybe the engineers add them later, but I know that he doesn't use reverb too much. Covering the other part of the question as to how to use X and Y on amps, basically, or on any block, to be honest. Not all of them. I don't think compressors you can do X and Y, but for I think the amps you can do X and Y. So let's say, what is X and Y? X and Y is basically two kind of settings for the same block, but they can be interchanged. Now, let's say in scene 2 you wanted more mids, to be honest, and in scene 1 you wanted less mids. So what you can do is go to scene 2 and change the amp to the Y mode, and obviously it's gonna bring back everything to the default. So you can dial it up again, and let's say you wanted more treble here in this case, and input driver, bring it down again. And when you save this now, what's going to happen is you can notice that when you go to the scene 1, it kind of jumps to the X mode, and when you jump to scene 2, it kind of jumps to the Y mode, and your settings are kind of changing as well. So that's how you do, X and Y modes as well in different scenes. No worries. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for joining in, and you take care as well, man. Stay safe. Don't know where you are exactly. I think you mentioned in the chat before. Let me quickly have a look. Belgium. There you go. You're from Belgium. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a good day and stay safe. Cheers. I'm just gonna leave it open for any questions anybody has. Give it a few minutes. I'm gonna play something, and then you guys can ask me some questions if you have any. Would you guys want me to put this preset up on the Exchange as well? I could do that, or you can dial it along with me in this video. This video is going to be up on the channel anyways when it goes offline, when we go offline from live. Of course, Dilpil, sorry. Can we request some future band patches? Yes, of course you can. Now, keep in mind that when it comes to different players, a lot of the tone is coming from their fingers. When I mean fingers, I mean they're playing. I am a firm believer of the fact that if you can try and play like somebody and kind of get the playing right, you have pretty much conquered 50% of the battle. So for me, I definitely do try to play like a lot of players, but I usually don't end up sounding too great. But I'll definitely try and dial in those patches, so you can leave them in the chat here if you have any requests coming up. I do have one more preset that I'm going to put out before the end of this year. I am working on it. It's pretty much final, so it's going to be out very soon. But make sure you put in your comments here and let me know what tones are you looking for. Also, do you guys like this live stream? Do you think it's helpful? Do you think we should do more of this? We could do live tone dialing for all the Tone Quest presets if you guys like, or we could have sessions like this where we could look at certain patches that I've dialed in. And it's always good to hear your questions on the fly rather than waiting for comments to come up on videos. Hello there, Gabriel. I'm trying to not pronounce your first name. If that's your first name, I don't want to kind of sound odd, but yeah, Gabriel is what I'll call you. Hello and all the best from Paris. Same to you, brother. Thank you so much for joining in. It's really good that so many people joined in. I'm absolutely taken aback. I think this is the first time I was doing it. I was very scared that and nervous, to be honest, that people might not join. Too many people might not join. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in. Did you join in just now, or did you go through the preset dialing in as well? Oh, Aaron Marshall. Yes, I've heard intervals, and he's a fantastic player. I can surely give it a shot. I cannot promise anything. His playing is incredible, but I'll definitely try. In fact, when I did the Pliny tone as well, I think I really had a really tough time. There's something about his playing which is so unique, and especially when he usually plays with very low gain. He's not a very, I mean, he has tracks which have really a lot of gain, but the track that I covered, the Every Piece Matters, is like he had such low gain and it was so difficult. So I'll definitely give it a shot, but I can't promise. Next year definitely I'll try. Is there any particular song you are interested in? Okay, Perry says, I'll add my preset to the Exchange if that's okay with you, with more bells and whistles. Oh, absolutely, man. Go ahead. I think we all should contribute towards putting patches on the Exchange. It really helps. When I bought the XFX2, the first place I went to for presets was Exchange. I didn't go to the forums. I didn't go to the Facebook groups. I didn't buy any presets. But I straight away went to the Exchange, started exploring, found some great tones by people out there. But mostly I got a little taken aback because most of those presets had kind of paid cabs in there. So some of them didn't sound right, some of them didn't work at all because they were having user slots in there. And but I would strongly recommend it, and encourage everyone on the chat here and everyone on the channel. If you're dialing in tones, share them with people. I think it's the best thing to do, especially in today's world where we are not able to meet each other. I think putting the presets out on Exchange can help somebody like it does help me. So make sure you do that, Perry. And do tag me in there if you want to, and let me know. I definitely want to check that preset out. I have many presets from you and I love it. Thanks, bro. I'm Gabriel. You, Leon, and Marco Fanton are my favorites. Thank you so much. To be mentioned along those guys in the same sentence is absolutely an honor. Leon's incredible, so is Marco. I haven't had the pleasure of speaking to Marco ever, but I've seen his tutorials and I've seen his presets. He's an incredible player, and I'm sure he's a great guy as well. Leon's fantastic. I mean, right before this live stream, I contacted him for that doubt that I had on the delay, and he helped me out like in a snap. And he's one of the main reasons that this channel is up there, and I'm really thankful. Leon, I don't know if you're tuned in. If you are, please do say hi in the chat. But I'm really, really thankful for his videos and his tutorials. I think we all are. Okay, Pliny does not have very low gain. He seems to does have very low gain. He seems to rely on delay and lots of sustain. With intervals, there's a brand new album with heaps of songs. I like an old song called Libra. Okay, I definitely will check that out. And the other thing I forgot to mention, when I try to cover any song, one of the first part is obviously the playing, which kind of defines the tone. The second part is finding a good backing track. Most of the tracks, usually people will have backing tracks out there, but sometimes you will end up in a situation where there is no backing track. And having a good backing track, especially if you have isolated tracks like I usually sometimes find for Dream Theater, you cannot imagine how much it helps. You can literally do a A/B comparison with your guitars in the mix of the band without the guitars, and then kind of figure out how your tone is sounding compared to the original track. In fact, the Best of Times preset came out very well because of this reason, because I was able to dial in that tone using the A/B method that I mentioned. And, I sat on that preset for hours to make it sound great. But, in the end, I think a good backing track really, really helps a lot. I think Pliny also uses a lot of compression. I think that also gives him a lot of sustain. Have you guys tried out the Archetype Pliny plugin? I downloaded it, but I ran out of the trial. I didn't have enough money to buy it, to be honest, but I liked it. What did you guys think about it? Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's great value for money, and you're getting the tones of the artist right out of the box, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think he throws in some presets in there as well, which is also very, very good. I found that quite interesting, to be honest. Anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Any requests for that matter for any tones that you would like me to cover later. Let's just try and change the preset. I'm going to jump onto a preset with high gain. Let's try something different. This is the preset that I used for the jam that I did with Leon recently. It was pretty awesome. That sounds good. That's the preset I used with that jam that we did, me and Leon. I think it was a pleasure to be on his channel. Uh, would you guys want me to cover the preset as well? This one? I can quickly walk you through it. So for this one, I actually used 2C++, which is one of my favorite amps in the XFX2 for high gain lead tones, and this is how I dialed it in. Good amount of mids in there, good amount of VEQ, GEQ, the kind of that Petrucci uses to dial. But I kept this one a little fatter, to be honest, not too much scooped out mids. Again, the same 4x12 traditional rectifier with Celestian V30, high cut and low cut. I used detune here, -9 cents and +9 cents on the left and right channels. Set to stereo, 12% mix. Delay, again, I think I kept it a 1/4 note over here. I think that's pretty much the preset. Do you have some information about MIDI programming in one project in Logic to change automatically the presets and scenes? Maybe one in a new session. Absolutely. I don't have Logic, to be honest, but I do have Cubase Pro 10.5, and I wanted to do that video from a while now. So basically, I don't use a foot controller, as some of you may know, and it's pretty much difficult sometimes to change scenes or change presets using the XFX2 directly, because you can't reach out when you're playing, of course. So I tried that in Cubase Pro 10.5, and it is definitely possible. Yes, the procedure must pretty much the same. You have to use a MIDI track, and you have to be connected to your computer using the USB provided with the XFX2, and then you can use a MIDI controller to actually change your patches, and you can switch banks and you can switch scenes as well. I haven't got to switching presets, to be honest, but I reckon that's something that you'd probably not do. But you can actually switch scenes as well, and you can actually control WAW as well. I saw a forum post on the XFX forums where it's pretty much possible. So yeah, I can do a separate video on that one. In fact, I have that on my list. I can actually do a live session as well if you guys want to. I think doing a video would be easier because I would be recording my audio as well at the same time. So I can definitely do something in the next year for that one. Thank you so much for bringing that up. That's something that's on my list for sure. I think that's pretty much it for me, guys. I think I will call it off now. I think it's quite late here. It's around 11 p.m. in the night. Have a sip of water. I wanted to thank each of you who joined in, and obviously it's the holiday season, so wherever you are in the world, I am sure you celebrate Christmas. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas from my end, and I wish you guys a very, very happy new year. But before that, I definitely want to put one more Tone Quest video out, so make sure you stay tuned on the channel for that. And if you guys like such live stream sessions, please do let me know in the comments or in the chat whenever possible for you guys. And do the usual stuff. Make sure you like it and make sure you stay subscribed. That means more than the world to me. And have a great holiday, guys. See you guys very, very soon in the next year, hopefully, or maybe even before that. But cheers, and thank you so much for joining in. I'll just quickly say bye in the chat to everybody.